Feather the Redeemed versus Gishath, Sun's Avatar. That Eurelia's Fury might come in handy if we manage to get into our Feather quickly enough. But I think we might struggle against a Gishath, to be honest. Gishath is an 8-mana Naya commander, a 7/6 Vigilance, Trample, Haste, Dragon Avatar. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of your library and put any number of dinosaur creature cards from among them onto the battlefield. The rest go on the bottom. We'll just go for a land and throw the turn back over to our opponent. Feather the Redeemed is a 3-mana Boros commander, a 3/4 with flying. Whenever we cast an instant or sorcery that targets a creature we control, it comes back to our hand at the beginning of the next end step. A Plains into Swiftfoot Boots is the way to go here. And Valorous Stance might be of some use to us. That could slow down Gishath if we remember to hold up the mana for that. Haven't seen any ramp spells yet, so I'm quite pleased with that. And a Sword of Feast and Famine is ramp if our opponent gets into a creature. Wasteland might be of some use to us if we see any red mana, although we can take white mana off our opponent as well with that, and I don't feel too guilty about doing it because Gishath can be really, really powerful. Just going to get down the Feather here and hope that getting it out a turn early is not a hindrance to us. If we manage to keep Feather out, then we could go for... I think we'll have to hold off on the Eurelia's Fury and go for Swiftfoot Boots. Okay, we get into another land. Let's go for our Plains this time. We'll get the Boots onto Feather, and then Reckless Rage during our opponent's turn is a better idea, I think, actually, because they'll probably go for 2 mana onto the Feast and Famine. Yeah. So let's go for Feather flying in at Garrick. They might block here anyway. That's their only source of red mana, though. And I think it's Eurelia's Fury perhaps next turn so that they can't ramp as easily. They've only got 3 cards in hand. And they have used 2 of their mana to go for the Birds of Paradise. And then they're untapping 2 lands. I want them to swing in with the birds. Oh yeah, this is good. So they're going to tap out here for equipping the bird with a Sword of Fire and Ice. We have to make sure that doesn't go on there, otherwise it will have protection from our Reckless Rage card. This is 4 damage to a creature we don't control and 2 damage to a creature that we do. And because it targets one of our creatures, we get it back into our hand at the beginning of the next end step. And then we might as well Valorous Stance. Target creature gains indestructible until the end of the turn, actually. This isn't a draw card, is it? So that is actually completely pointless. We get our Wreck Rage back. And I think a Plateau is a good thing to go after here. Definitely want to get rid of Garrick because it's ramp and it's also a means of getting a creature into play. And as long as there's no creatures in play, those swords are of no threat to us. I think during our opponent's upkeep we go for... No, we can wait on the Eurelia's Fury, I think. Okay, there's a Wayward Sword Tooth. Now, I think we need to make use of Valorous Stance here. Yeah, I think Valorous Stance is something that we need to make use of because this thing with protection from red is really going to pile damage onto us. So let's destroy a creature with 4 toughness or greater. And unfortunately don't have any draw cards yet. I think it might be worth trying to put our opponent back a little bit by getting rid of a dual land. That takes them off double white, but it also takes them down a mana. And we might as well Eurelia's Fury just to make sure that they can't do anything during the turn. So that is 1 damage there, and then I think we can get away with 2 damage there, can't we? Aurelia's Fury will keep our opponent from casting non-creature spells because we ping them with it, and because we targeted Feather, we'll get that back to our hand at the beginning of the next end step. It's also a little bit more damage going on to our opponent. Okay, Firebrand Archer. I think I'd rather just deal the damage with Aurelia's Fury at this point, to be honest, so let's get in with Feather. And yeah, we'll just wait and see if our opponent casts a creature, I think. Because I want to be able to burn it out with Aurelia's Fury if we want to, because I'm worried about this Sword of Fire and Ice. Well, it doesn't look like they're going for it, so let's go for this Aurelia's Fury trick again. That's 3 damage to our opponent and 1 damage to Feather, and we get the Aurelia's Fury back. Okay, double cleave is going to give Feather double strike. So we might as well go for that. That's going to put our opponent on 12 commander damage. And we'll pass it over like that again. Runic Armasaur. Whenever an opponent activates an ability of a creature or land that isn't a mana ability, you can draw a card. I don't think that's going to be of any relevance in this game. And that dodges our Reckless Rage as well, actually, with its 5 toughness. Let's just go for the Fury again. 2 damage to our opponent and 1 to Feather this time. I'm amazed that we haven't gotten into any draw cards yet, but luckily our opponent's been struggling on mana. God's Willing is kind of card advantage. We at least get to filter. Okay, a Boros Charm. Don't really think we need to worry about a Boros Charm. We already have a double strike enabler in hand, which we are going to make use of. Oh, I gave it protection from white. Okay, in that case, we'll just go for the Firebrand Archer. Could have gotten double strike damage on our opponent here, but I gave protection from the wrong colour with God's Willing. Clearly the concentration levels have reduced. We'll get the God's Willing back and make use of Long Road Home, I think, because I have no doubt that Sword of Fire and Ice is going on to that thing. It won't have protection from white, so we can just let our opponent tap out here. We'll exile that and it'll come back with a plus counter on it at the end of the turn. We won't get the Long Road Home back because it's not targeting a creature we control. And then we'll go God's Willing on the Firebrand Archer this time. Feather triggers no matter which creature we target. We'll just give protection from blue, and look at Stun is actually a card draw effect, so that's good to get into that. And I think we can just go for double cleave on Feather. No need to draw the game out any longer than it has been already. Our opponent is being a good sport here and just playing this out. So big props to our opponent. And there we are. Unlucky there that Gishath never really got going. The only red mana they got into was with the Birds of Paradise, I think. They had plenty of cards in hand by the end of the game, but clearly they didn't have the mana to cast those spells. Perhaps if they'd gotten into Sword of Feast and Famine, they could have gotten more going on, but we can't allow our opponent to run rampant with swords. That's just something that would really injure us. So unfortunately, our opponent didn't really get going with their Gishath deck, but we got to see Feather in action, and I hope you all enjoyed that. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.